Okay, so in this example, they give us this equation, xy equals 4, and they give me dy dt. Want me to find dx dt when x is 4. So I'm okay. So here's the equation. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to take the derivative implicit, implicit derivative. Why? Because it's d dt. It's time in the denominator, and that's not x nor y. So when you're taking the derivative with respect to a different letter than x and y, which is going to be this whole chapter, got to do it implicitly. All right. So how do we do this derivative? Well, we got to use the product rule because it's two functions of x multiplied. So we do the first one. That'd be x prime. That's his derivative. Times the second one. Here, let me change the color. Times the second one unchanged. Plus the first one unchanged is not his turn. Times the second one, y prime. Remember implicit differentiation, both for x and y. For x and y. I know you're probably thinking, I remember implicit derivatives back in chapter 3, I think it was 3.8 or whatever. But we did it only for y, not for x. Right. Well, we're doing it for both x and y now because you might wonder, well, how do you know when you're supposed to do implicit derivative? Whenever you're doing it with respect to a letter different than the letter that's on top. So I'm doing it with respect to time, which is different than x or y. So we treat both of them implicitly. So we get both those. All right. The other side equals 0, right? Because the derivative of a constant number is just 0. All right, so there we go. Now, let's plug in what we can. We got x is 4, so that'll go right there. X prime is what we're looking for, so I'll just leave that. X prime, we're looking for dx dt, right? What is y? Ooh, how am I going to find y? Well, here we go. Come over here to the side. Find y. How do you find y? Well, we have the original equation. X times y is 4, and we know x is 4, right? Then they tell us that right here. X is 4, so plug that in. So 4 times y is 4. So solve for y. You can see it coming now, huh? Y is 1. So bring that on back. Times 1. See how I did that? Plus, and now what is x? Well, we just said x is 4, right? X is 4, yep. And y prime, here's y prime right there, dy dt. That's y prime, 2 times 2 equals 0. So x prime times 1 is just x prime plus 8 equals 0. And then how do we solve for x prime? You know that, just jump it over. X prime is negative 8. Is that what they got? Yeah. X prime is negative 8. That's dx dt. So again, implicit derivatives because we're doing x and y with respect to time. Time is on the bottom, which is different than y and different than x. So both x and y, not just y like in that other chapter, but right here, both x and y, implicit. Oh, and by the way, notice you never plug things in. I didn't plug in x and y and stuff until after the derivative, right? First do the derivative, then plug in stuff after. Why? Because you plug in the numbers in the beginning, the derivative of number is just going to be 0. So that's not going to work. Do the derivative first, then plug in afterwards. And so there we go.